Welcome to Session 4 of the Nutrition for Healthy Living e-learning series. In this session, we're going to talk a little bit about grocery shopping and how to use the nutrition facts label for your next grocery trip. Let's start by talking about some strategies on how to spend less when you go grocery shopping. Saving money starts before you even leave the house. Shop your pantry, freezer, and refrigerator and use what you have before you buy more. Use leftovers or your freezer and get the most out of the foods that you prepare. And last, what we talked about in Session 3, don't forget to meal plan to keep you on track at the store. Next, aim to get the best price. Look for weekly sale items. Buy generic items when they're available. And look towards the top and bottom of the shelf. Grocery stores tend to put their most expensive version of what they want you to buy in the middle and at eye level. Try to minimize your purchases of convenience foods. Avoid single-serve items. And buy fruits and vegetables that are in season because they tend to be the cheapest. Last is don't be enticed to spend more than you need to. Stick to your list and avoid impulse purchases. Don't shop hungry. Eat a snack before you leave. Try only to buy groceries. And ask yourself, can I buy this in bulk? Sometimes bulk purchases will save you money in the long run. Let's transition to talking right about the nutrition facts label. The nutrition facts label is a nice tool for comparing food products and choosing foods that contribute to a healthy diet. Did you know that you can use the nutrition facts label while you're grocery shopping to help you make a more informed food choice? More people report that they'd like to know how to effectively use the nutrition facts label while grocery shopping. And by 2018, there will be a new nutrition facts label on most packaged foods. Let's take a look at the nutrition facts label. Here are some of the items we're going to be discussing in this session. We will be looking at both the serving size and calorie counts. We'll be talking about both nutrients to limit and nutrients that we need more of. And we will be talking about the percent daily values. Let's begin at the very top of the food label. The first thing you will see is the serving size and servings per container. Keep in mind that most serving sizes are standardized among similar products to make it easier to compare similar foods. For example, you can compare different brands of yogurt and they'll tend to be in the same measurement. And serving sizes are in familiar units or pieces to make it easier to portion out your food. Things like a half a cup, 10 pieces, or 2/3 of a cup. But remember, the size of the serving you eat will influence the rest of the food label, nutrients, and calorie amounts. The more servings you eat, the more calories, fat, sugar, protein, vitamins, and minerals you will be eating. You want to remember to pay attention to the actual serving size, especially how many servings are in the food package. Make sure you're asking yourself, how many servings am I really eating? If we move down the nutrition facts label, you'll find calories. Calories are how much energy we're getting from a serving of food. Most Americans eat more calories than they need, so using the calorie section of the label can help you to better manage your weight. Keep in mind that the number of servings you eat determine the actual number of calories you are consuming. And the calories that are actually displayed on the label are per serving and not for the entire package. So let's look at an example. If you look at the sample label, you'll see that a serving of this food is half a cup. And in each half cup serving, there are 200 calories. If you just ate one serving of this food, you would be consuming 200 calories. But if you ate 1 cup, you would be doubling the serving size and therefore doubling your calories to 400. If you ate 2 cups, you would be eating 4 times the recommended serving size and therefore eating 800 calories. And finally, if you consumed the entire package, you would be eating all 8 servings and consuming 1,600 calories. You can see from the example how fast calories add up if you're not paying attention to the serving size. If we continue moving down the food label, we first see the nutrients that Americans tend to eat too much of. Remember that eating too much fat, trans fat, cholesterol, or sodium may increase your risk of certain chronic diseases like heart disease, cancer, or diabetes. Pay special attention to trans fats. We already discussed that you should be doing your best to completely eliminate them from your diet. If you see 0 grams of trans fats on the label, that's a good start, but ideally you should be reading the ingredient list. If you see the word partially hydrogenated oil, then there are less than 0.5 grams of trans fat present in that food product, but still more than the 0 grams that are listed on the label. Now let's move on to the nutrients we often do not get enough of. Many of us are lacking proper fiber, some vitamins, iron, calcium, and if we make an effort to eat these foods, they can help improve our health and reduce the risk of some chronic diseases and conditions. Making sure we eat a diet high in fiber will help to promote healthy bowel function. So let's look at the percent daily value guidelines to help us determine how to make good decisions and include more of the nutrients we need more of for good health. Looking at the percent daily value will help you determine if a serving of food is high or low in a nutrient. It's important to note that the percent daily value are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. But even if you eat less than 2,000 calories, or you're unsure of how many calories you eat, it's still a great reference tool. So if you see 5% daily value or less, that is considered low for all nutrients. So that's great for fat, cholesterol, and sodium. If you see 20% or higher, that is considered high for all nutrients. So seeing 20% under fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, or calcium is a great sign. If you pick something up with a 20% daily value of saturated fat, then you may want to try to find a comparable product with less saturated fat. Remember that the percent daily value is going to increase depending on your serving size. If you look here at the example, the label indicates that a half-cup portion is 22% of your daily value of fat. But if you double the portion and you eat 1 cup, you are getting 44% of your daily value of fat. If you look at sugar on the nutrition facts label, you'll see that it does not have a percent daily value, and that is because there is no recommendation for the total amount of sugar you should eat in a day. In general, you should be aiming to keep that number as low as possible. Some things to remember when looking at sugar are that it includes both naturally occurring sugar, such as those found in fruit or milk products, but it also includes any sugar that has been added. After you look at the grams of sugar, you'll want to look at the ingredient list for added and hidden sugar. Look for words such as corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice concentrate, maltose, dextrose, sucrose, honey, and maple syrup. All of these words are just different ways to say sugar. In addition to the nutrition facts label, you may also see a variety of other stamps, symbols, and signs on your food package. A common one you may already recognize is the whole grain stamp. This stamp is going to be found on packaged foods such as crackers, cereal, bread, pasta, and other whole grains. And there are 3 variations of the stamp. The first is the 100% stamp, and that means that 100% of all the grains in that product are whole grains, and there must be at least 16 grams of whole grains per serving that you eat. Next, you may see the 50% stamp, and this means that at least 50% of the grains in the product are whole grains, and that there are still 8 grams of whole grains per serving. And then last, you may see the basic stamp, and this stamp signifies that less than 50% of the grains are whole grains, but it still must contain at least 8 grams of whole grains in order for the product to display the whole grain stamp. So keep your eye out and look for this stamp when you're choosing whole grain food products that are packaged. Here are a few other labels you may recognize. The organic food label indicates your food has been processed under the organic food guidelines set by the USDA. The non-GMO label indicates that your food product is verified as not being produced with any genetically modified organisms. The certified gluten-free label is helpful if you suffer from gluten sensitivity or have celiac disease. This signifies that your food is safe from gluten and cross-contamination. And last, you may see the vegan label, and this will tell you that your food product is produced without any animal products or byproducts, and it's safe for those practicing a vegan lifestyle to consume. Now that you know a little bit more about what to look for when using the nutrition facts label, I thought it would be helpful to share some guidelines on how to buy some commonly purchased grocery items. The first one we're going to look at is bread. The main guidelines you should follow when buying bread are that they should contain 100 or fewer calories per slice, at least 2 grams of fiber per slice, and less than 225 milligrams of sodium per slice. In general, the first ingredient should be whole wheat, whole rye, whole pumpernickel, or any other grain your bread is made out of. Be aware of catchphrases on the front of the package, such as stone ground, cracked wheat, because they do not indicate that it's a whole grain. And also be aware of added ingredients like sugar, honey, and corn syrup. Last, make sure the bread has a relatively short ingredient list and that it contains mostly recognizable ingredients. Next, let's look at yogurt. Yogurt is a common place for added sugar to be hidden. You can use the nutrition facts label to make sure that it's contributing to at least 15% of your calcium intake. Also, look at the sugar. Yogurt has lactose, which is a natural sugar. Therefore, it's going to have around 7 to 9 grams of naturally occurring sugar. Anything more than that is likely added sugar. Yogurt can also be a great probiotic, so you'll want to look for the wording live and active cultures. In order to find the healthiest yogurt, you'll want to avoid yogurt that says fruit on the bottom, fruit flavored, or has added sugar such as cane syrup, fruit juice concentrate, or honey. Also, avoid yogurt with artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, sucralose, monk fruit, and stevia. Last is to look for yogurt with the shortest ingredient list. You only need to see milk and live cultures. Spruce up plain yogurt by adding your own fruit or a small drizzle of honey and maple syrup. Last, let's look at buying cereal. In general, your cereal should have 100% whole grain as one of the first ingredients on the ingredient list. Look for a cereal that is going to give you at least 5 grams of fiber and less than 8 grams of sugar in each serving. And look for the 100% whole grain stamp on the box. Keep your eye out for added fruit, coconut, or nuts. All of those will add more fat and sugar to your cereal. This means pay special attention to granola. This is more densely packed and tends to have more added sugar and more added fat. There is some exciting news in the nutrition world. The nutrition facts label is changing. And by July of 2018, many of the foods you buy will have the new label. As a shopper, you are going to be better equipped to make healthier food choices. And as a result, we could start seeing a change in many of the foods that are produced and available to us. Let's take a sneak peek at what the new label is going to look like. First, the serving size is going to be larger and bolded, and the serving sizes will be updated to reflect more closely to what Americans are really consuming. So an example, right now, a 20-ounce bottle of soda has 2.5 servings, but in reality, Americans drink the entire bottle and therefore consume 2.5 times the calories. That bottle of soda may be updated to just 1 serving with the appropriate number of calories. The calories are going to be displayed in larger and bolder font to be more eye-catching, and the daily values have been updated based on new scientific evidence. Something new, added sugars have been added to the label. This is a great tool to use when comparing products like yogurt, bread, cereal, and other packaged items in order to determine which one is the best choice. The nutrients have also been updated, and the actual amounts have been declared. Vitamin D and potassium have been added because Americans do not always get the recommended amount. And in turn, vitamin A and vitamin C are no longer required since deficiencies in these vitamins are rare. And last, the footnote has been updated to just have more concise language. You may notice some of the food products that you're buying currently already have this updated label, but you'll start to notice it more in the middle of 2018 through 2019. Now it's time to put some of this knowledge to use. So over the next week, evaluate your grocery shopping habits and identify what you'd like to change. Do you want to be more prepared? Do you want to save money? Or do you want to make more informed choices? Then ask yourself, what part of the nutrition facts label do I want to pay more attention to? And last, how can you use the nutrition facts label to make better choices during your next grocery trip? Thank you for listening to Session 4. Coming up in Session 5, we will discuss special topics in nutrition.